It's the 100% World War II German weapon that's still in service today, almost 8 decades after the war ended. The world's first true assault rifle, the StG-44, was a revolutionary idea, and is rightly considered the father and grandfather of all modern assault rifles. So what to call it? 3 slightly different versions exist using 4 different names: the MP43, the MP43/1, the MP44, and the StG or Sturmgewehr-44, demonstrating how the Nazi authorities kept tinkering with the nomenclature. For this video, I'm going to use its final designation, StG-44, as settled upon by Hitler himself. Kamikoto makes fantastic and beautiful steel kitchen knives using traditional techniques from Japan. Kamikoto only uses steel sourced from mills in Japan, and each blade is crafted using techniques that have been honed and perfected by generations of knifesmiths. Indeed, it takes years to manufacture these knives through a rigorous 19-step process, and each finished knife is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. Each knife comes in a beautiful, heavy-duty ash wood box, ideal for correct storage or for giving as a gift. I've been using the 3-piece Kanpeki knife set that contains a vegetable, slicing and utility knife. The knives sit comfortably in my hand and are light and very well balanced. It's easy to see why Kamikoto knives are used by several chefs at Michelin-starred restaurants. Kamikoto is currently offering $50 off any purchase you make with the discount code MarkFelton. So click on the link below or go to kamikoto.com/MarkFelton and use the code MarkFelton to save an extra $50 today. Now, plenty of World War II-era German weapons remain in service today, but though their design dates from the Nazi period, nearly all are later post-war manufactures. Weapons like the Walther P1, a modern version of the P38, or the MG3, a modern version of the MG42 machine gun. But all StG-44s are wartime manufacture. For a weapon with a fairly small production run, just 425,977 officially built during the war, it has had a long and very varied post-war career up to the present day. The StG-44, developed by Hugo Schmeisser, fires the 7.92 by 33mm Kurz round, using 30-round detachable box magazines, with a rate of fire of 500 to 600 rounds per minute. When Nazi Germany surrendered in May 1945, vast amounts of its weapons fell into Allied hands. The Soviet Union captured many StG-44s, documents showing that in 1948, for example, it had 102,000 in storage. But many thousands of StG-44s were already in service in 2 communist states, East Germany and Czechoslovakia. East Germany had used thousands of captured StG-44s to arm 2 units: the early precursor to its army, the Barracked People's Police, which used the type as the MPI-44, until the early 1960s, when its successor unit, the NVA, or the National People's Army, was issued with AK-47s. The second East German unit was the Volkspolizei, or People's Police, the national police force of East Germany. They used StG-44s until 1962, when they were replaced by another World War II-era weapon, the Soviet PPSH-41 submachine gun. In the case of Czechoslovakia, they used captured StG-44s until 1955, when frontline units phased them out. Therefore, the Soviet Union, East Germany, and Czechoslovakia all had considerable numbers of StG-44s and ammunition stocks in storage. A third Eastern European nation used a very limited stocks of StG-44s. This was Yugoslavia, and the type remained in service with parachute units there until the 1980s. From the 1960s onwards, large numbers of StG-44s ended up in 5 locations. Firstly, the Soviets, East Germans, and Czechs sent many to North Vietnam to help equip Ho Chi Minh's communist forces in its war with South Vietnam and the United States. Check out my video on World War II German weapons in the Vietnam War, link in the end screen. The second location was Algeria in North Africa, where freedom fighters fought a war against the French colonial powers between 1954 and 1962. European communist states helped to arm the rebels, with Czechoslovakia supplying thousands of StG-44s, many subsequently captured by French Foreign Legion units. The third locale where StG-44s would proliferate was also in Africa. The new communist dictatorship of Somalia rebuilt its army in the early 1970s from Soviet sources with the aim of conquering an adjacent region of Ethiopia called Ogaden. A rebel group in Ogaden, the Western Somalia Liberation Front, received many StG-44s, most probably from East Germany, old Volkspolizei weapons now retired. StG-44s were seen in the Somalia-Ethiopia region through the 1970s and 80s, though ammunition shortages probably rendered most hardly usable. StG-44s made a final appearance in Africa via another dictator, Colonel Gaddafi of Libya. When Yugoslavia retired the StG-44 in 1983, Gaddafi purchased a small lot of ex-Yugoslav weapons and ammunition and placed them into storage, probably intending to give them out to some rebel or terrorist group at some point down the road. During the revolution of 2011 that led to Gaddafi's overthrow and death, the old Yugoslav StG-44s were looted, and by 2013 were turning up in the hands of rebels in Burkina Faso. The fifth locale where StG-44s had entered service was Syria, used by rebels of the Syrian National Coalition for Revolutionary and Opposition Forces. In 2012, rebels claimed to have seized 5,000 StG-44s and ammunition from a government weapons depot in Aleppo. These weapons have seen extensive frontline service during the Syrian conflict. And I should mention that a few StG-44s have been spotted in the war in Ukraine, particularly in the Donbass region. Do check out my video about World War II weapons being used in the current conflict in Ukraine. Link in the end screen. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon, details in the description box below.